Someone thinks they're funny. Alright, so the last time you guys saw us work on this machine here, this is number 1, we've called it. We saw the extreme slop that it had in the number 6 piston back there. So basically what's happening is that number 6 piston is not coming up all the way. Low compression and it's not firing, but also what that means is either we have a bad wrist pin, a bad piston, or hopefully, you know, worst case scenario, but hopefully not this, we have, you know, something's going on in the crankshaft, whether it blew out a rod bearing and it's just metal on metal in there, or the caps came loose or something. So today, right now, I'm gonna try and go under there. I know my dad kind of showed you guys at the end of the video, the last one, which I'll put up here. It's gonna be a tough ask to get under there and drop that rod bearing, or drop that oil pan, but let's see. We might be able to do it. Oh God, that looks horrible. I regret this already. I'm going in. The worst part about equipment like this. So, looks like that's just a valve up there maybe. I brought 3 5-gallon buckets, hopefully that's enough. There's skid plates everywhere. Man, lots of fuel in the bottom or something. So there's this oil pan right here, and then there's like a plate. So we gotta take the oil pan off first. When we take that plate off, that'll expose cylinder number 6. This is the part where I rethink the decisions I've made in life that get me to this point. Sure that was just a massive rock that in my safety glasses. Well, I don't want to say my dad was right, but my dad and Bill wanted no part of this. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now, you guys look, so there is, that's our oil pan that we just took off. And then I gotta take this guy off, and then you can see that plate is basically what we have to take off to get to the mains. So I don't see a bunch of shards of metal in here, and if you guys remember when I tore apart that Ford, there was freaking metal everywhere. And this does not look like that, so interesting. So let's keep tearing into it. It's freaking coolant's annoying. Like why?
Well, are you having fun yet?
No.
No?
But
Why not?
I'm making progress.
What do you got off?
Oil pan.
Oh, if your mother could see you now.
Oh, I know. My wife could see me now. Yeah, it's coming off. Don't you worry. Why don't you go?
A negative Nancy here.
Why don't you go take a nap or something, Grandpa? Hey,
I don't need. It's only about 10:30. I don't need one yet, but about 3 hours I will.
You know, you and Bill didn't want anything to do with this, and I can see why.
Well, this one's yours. The other one's gonna be mine, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see.
What do you need?
Motivation. Need about 6 inches more ground clearance on this thing.
Need another carpet? You're a little short on carpet.
No. I am good. Yeah, you know, I haven't seen any, it didn't look like the Ford when I tore the Ford apart. You know, there's tin foil, pop can chewed up in the bottom of that. This screen looks good and the oil pan's clean.
Really?
I'm gonna get home and I'm gonna be like straight in the shower. Oh, all right. Whew. The funny part is the GoPro looks worse than I do. This engine is freaking huge. And it's not even that big in the terms of big diesels. Need some waterworks here. Why? It doesn't make sense. This plate's heavier than the freaking oil pan. Oh, shoot. Oh, baby. I think it's time for the big reveal. But I think first I'm going to clean up a little bit because I am toast. All right. It's off. The pan is off. But I have not looked yet to protect the authenticity. So, but I will tell you guys, oh my God, look at my hair. I have not seen tin can or, you know, like a bearing chewed up in the bottom, so. See, that all looks clean as far as clean goes. And I think if it had chewed up a bearing, it would not be clean. So it's hard for me to see. Hear that?
Yeah, I do.
Let me
It's not the wrist pin.
let me get the cap off. That is the number 6 rod bearing.
Yeah, that's no damn wrist pin. Whoa. What was that? What was that?
The rod bearing. Or the rod cap.
Oh, is there any bearing left?
No.
There's no bearing left. Huh. That's what I figured.
Huh.
What?
I don't know, I'm just confused. It looks like there's never a bearing in the freaking thing. You know? Yeah, where's the bearing?
No bearing.
There's nothing. Where did it all go? Alright, the light's horrible, but
Huh?
I'm talking to the camera. The light's horrible, but I mean, the crank does not look good.
Wow. Yeah, I think you broke that ring. The ring's falling apart.
Yeah, that's fine. So the oil hole looks open on it, which is interesting why it ever had oil pressure then. But all right, so there's one saving grace. I know the optics are bad, and it looks like the crank is completely toast. But let's go under there, just get a rough measurement, and see what the crank measures. I believe that's going to confirm that the crank needs to be replaced or crowned, which means the engine is going to have to come out because we can't get that crank out without pulling the engine. So I believe we are looking for 3 inches. Boy, Actually, it might not be too bad. Even though I still think it's got to be ground. 296, so like I said, we want 3. Wow, that whole way around that thing is recessed. So right there I got 292. So yeah. That's that. Engine's coming out. So luckily as of like yesterday, the Michigan's running, so let's pull the engine on this guy. Alright, so let's get going on pulling the motor on this thing. I don't think it's going to be too bad of a job because we actually already did do one at the junkyard on that half scrap machine. So the first thing we got to do is get this whole like front core support basically comes off. And there's the oil cooler and then the radiator in there. So I think the first thing I got to do is drain the fluids. And it looks like there's a pan under here. So let's take that pan off. And then maybe there's a nice drain down there that we can drain the antifreeze out. We'll drain the oil. And then I think it's just, you can see 1, 2, 3 bolts on each side. Take those off. And then we'll just lift the whole thing right off with the Kubota.
80 degrees.
All right, no serious injuries. Success. So now, what do we got? I can't really tell. That's gotta be a drain right there, kinda, ain't it? Yeah, that's our drain. Reach it. There we go. Oh, that was pretty. Well, needless to say, I think I'm going to want to take the radiator out and get it rotted out and cleaned out real nice, because that is bad. All right, so the way they ran these lines in this oil cooler, they both tap up top, so I'm wondering if we can just disconnect them up at the top without having to drain the whole hydro tank. Even though we're gonna have to drain that to get the torque converter out, but that would be kind of nice. So I'm gonna try and disconnect those and we'll see if we make a mess or not. Yeah, I don't know how much that's gonna leak.
Wow, where's that line?
Underneath, way under. Oh, that's coming out pretty good.
Well,
we probably should.
I think I got some buckets.
Yeah, we probably should just drain it. All right, my dad went to get us some buckets, so let's see if we can get, boy, it's gonna be tough to get in there without the boom on, but let's see if we can get in there and loosen those bolts up. We need a leverage multiplier. Oh, jeez. Got a little friend that came to check up on us. The sun probably feels nice, huh? Yeah, come on, get out of here. We gotta work. All right, so things were going okay. We got hydraulic tank all drained out. Got a bunch of buckets of good oil. It's pretty slick. You actually can just go up through there and drain it out the side. I got the coolant drained. I got radiator hose off up front. But there's one really critical thing that we actually cannot complete. So that means we had a complete standstill on pulling this motor. So we need to take this whole front radiator clip comes off, like I said, and there are 1, 2, 3 bolts. I cannot get a ratchet back there or a breaker bar or anything to hold that bolt. So the way Cat makes this to work on is that lock right there. You lift it up and you lock that in place and you work on it with the bucket up. And, you know, we all have different thoughts about that, how safe that feels, but so what we need to do now is we need to lift the bucket up and get in there to get those bolts out. The Kubota will not pick this up. We got to get this out of the way to get those bolts. Michigan's kind of down for the count, so we got the forklift. But there's a high probability we're going to get stuck.
I think it's got a low gear on it, but probably about it, huh? Is that 15 they're gonna hit, or can I go a little more?
It'd be nice if you go in more. Whoa!
No! We might be done.
There's no
left, huh?
Wow, yeah, you're on an angle now, though. All right, now try it.
It's not happening. What?
I think I just heard you fart. Can you go slower?
What?
Can you go slower?
How much higher I gotta go? Hold on. Maybe it is. Yeah, it might. Higher?
No, that's good. So, we're worried about the log squirting backwards, but boy, I really don't think it will. You know, so maybe what we need to do is we just need to cut some nice vertical ones the right height. But now, look at that. It's like the Red Seas have parted. So that's cool. Hey, what are you doing? It's gonna be a hot one today. All right, I'm admitting defeat. I kind of thought maybe we could get this machine running with just some basic like elbow grease and stuff like that, but it appears that it's headed for major surgery, right? So knowing that we're in the long haul for this project, we still have the other loader that we haven't really done much to. I've decided it's probably time to get some shirts going. So if you guys want to support the project, I will put a link to these in the description of the video. I'll put a comment, and that'll actually take you to, it's a site called Bonfire. They actually print these and ship these for me. It's just my design, and I kind of control this stuff, so it's kind of good. I don't really need one more thing to do. Thanks, Cooper. But so in the spirit of, you know, trying to sell merchandise, gain a little bit more support from you guys, there's a couple promises that I will make. Number one, we're not going to give up on these things. As the shirt says, save the old iron. These things are going to come to glory one day, and I can't wait for that day. Number two, when you buy a shirt from someone like us or another YouTuber, a small business, something like that, you're not really supporting like some of these big merchandise companies like Carhartt, Cooper, you know, Dickies, someone that have CEOs that they're going to pay. They probably have lobbyists in Washington and things like that. You're literally supporting me and my family. not that family, me and my actual family, my dogs, my wife, my kid. This is something that we love to do. We just really struggle to find time with it, with a newborn at home, working a full-time job, both my wife and I, and having all this stuff about 2 hours away from home. So as we kind of grow and garner more support from you guys, one of those ways is through selling merchandise. Hopefully that we can become a little bit more financially independent. We can do bigger and better projects, and we can do more projects, right? So if you want to support us, go ahead. Like I said, the links will be down below. Pretty cool shirts. Gonna be like a limited run for sure. I'm thinking maybe like 21 to 28 days or something, so get them now. 30 bucks a piece. There's a couple different styles. I kind of like the gray one like I'm wearing right now. We can do black. I'll have it all listed on the site there, so cool. Now that that's out of the way, I have a confession to make. I probably should have listened to my dad about this 977 a long time ago. So when we rolled this thing off the truck, let me back up. When we bought this thing, we started the junkyard. My dad said right there on that December day, he said, that engine is junk, that's a rod knock, engine's gonna have to come out. Crank's gonna be junk. And then, you know, we kind of got with you guys, people were leaving comments, things like that. I said, Dad, there's a multitude of things that it could be. It's not a rod knock. We have to at least check that stuff out before we pull the engine. Well, now it's September. We've diddled around with this thing for literally 9 months. It's been January since we got them. And the engine still has yet to come out, right? So we know that the engine has to come out, and then this thing is headed for major reconstructive surgery. And his point was not to pull the engine tomorrow. He said, we still have the complete other machine over there that is free. The bottom end looks good. It rolls over fine, pumps oil, bores look good. He said, we at least need to take the head off this machine and put it on that machine to just cast our nets, right, and see what we've got. And he's right. We should have done that a long time ago. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to pause on this machine, and we're going to go over and work on that next machine and see, can we get it running? And more importantly, can we get it usable, right? So there's a whole other aspect to this thing. So you guys saw us trying to get this bucket up because we had to get those bolts loose, and that's not where it ends, right? We have to get the radiator support off. We're going to have to remove the bucket, and we have to get the engine out, right? We are absolutely 100% not equipped for any of the work, like the major reconstruction work that we need to do on these things. We don't have anything that'll lift this stuff. We thought the Michigan was good to go. We got that running earlier in the summer, but it turns out that that thing has a massive torque converter leak, and that's also headed for major surgery, right? So in order to kind of proceed with this machine, we need a big machine to work on it, right? So what my dad had kind of said was, if we get the other 977 going, then maybe we can use that 977 to take the bucket off, take the radiator support out, take the engine out, because like I said, we just don't have anything. The Michigan, we got to pull the torque converter probably. I'm not dying to dive in and open up another can of worms when we already have so many cans of worms open, so I think we're going to hold on that. So that's kind of where we're at. So like I said, I hate to admit it, but I guess my dad was right. That's kind of what you get for probably 35 years of crushed dreams and busted knuckles and things like that. But he's right. We need to at least see what we got going on with the other machines. So I'm going to wrap it up right here. But for those of you that stayed with me until the end of the video, I am coming from the future, and I actually have a lot of these videos done. So we're going to post them. Bang, bang, bang. Don't forget, we've got the merch. And if I were you guys, I would, if you're not subscribed, make sure to hit that button and keep an eye, because very, very shortly, I'm going to have an update from you, from the past Tyler, on the other machine, and the other machine, and this machine, and the Michigan, and all this other stuff that we've been working on. Eventually, it's all going to come to a close, and it's going to be glorious, right? So thanks for watching, guys. Like I said, for those of you that stayed till the end, I appreciate it. There's your tidbit, and I will see you guys shortly. It is way too hot for these guys today. I always pick like the best days to come work in full sun. Come on, let's go for a swim. You guys want to swim? Hopefully there's some water in the ditch for you. Yeah, let's go to the pond.